I had no idea that he had gone to seminary. I had no idea that he had gone to law school. I had no idea he was called Bop, which is probably a good thing, because being one of the jerky middle schoolers that he taught, we probably would have made that a horrible, horrible thing for him. I had no idea that he worked full-time in a career that I now call my own, human resources. And that's because, for a large part, I didn't know Joseph Charles Sachs. The gentleman that I knew was Mr. Joe. And if you were here as a child during the late 80s and early 90s, there was no way that you could avoid Mr. Joe. He was our Sunday school teacher. He was a constant friend. He was the person who gave us Bazooka Joe for all of the random questions that he would ask. He started off every class. That was just being cute. I have to wonder if some of that wasn't a premonition. As I look back on the people that were in the immediate classes before me, and the immediate classes after me, and my class itself, I can count at least 4 college professors in that bunch, and I can count at least 3 to 4 people who are now working in full-time ministry. And that is an amazing accomplishment for a man who gave up Sundays. And while he may not have always been there for the Saturday get-togethers, I was looking back, and I can count at least 44 Sundays out of every year that Mr. Joe was there teaching us and leading us in worship, in plays, and other learnings. One of the things that I will miss the most is walking up and having him say, "Hey Josh, I'm going to learn you something." But it's amazing that after all of those stories that he told us, all of the great things that he did, the thing that probably he taught me the most had nothing to do with the words that he chose. It had to do with the life that he led. In middle school, I was a pretty upset little kid. My parents had just gone through a divorce. I was a fairly short child, so I was bullied fairly mercilessly. And I took it out on just about anybody that I could, including Mr. Joe, because I didn't feel like I needed to listen to him. A lot of times, unfortunately, I took it out on Eric and Susan. I never took it out on John, because John was bigger than me and older than me. But the thing that stuck with me was that despite all of that, Mr. Joe constantly loved me. He constantly said hello, he constantly smiled, he constantly had my best interest at heart. And I have to wonder, who in the world could do something like that, to continue loving you after you've been so mean and so rude, and have constantly abandoned his son? Oh yeah, that's the Christian method of agape, which is something that he taught us about fairly frequently. The last few times that I had been to CPC and had seen Mr. Joe, I felt heartbroken because I could see that he still wanted to communicate. And you could see it in his eyes that he was so frustrated that he couldn't. But I tried to do what he had always done for me when I didn't know how to communicate, and I sat there and I listened and I tried to talk with him. And I am so happy knowing that now he's been greeted in heaven by a God who opened up his arms and said, "Welcome, theologian and scholar. Enter into your rest." And I'm sure he threw him some Bazooka Joe at the time.